Hey everybody, what is up? This is Devin, LaVore, and
Michelle LaVore
coming at ya after a week of being rested and tested.
Yes.
And we'll get into that here in a minute. But first, we just want to say welcome to the new subscribers that we have. Been off for like a week, and we're still getting new subscribers. Praise the Lord. May you be blessed by the Lord and what He might share with you, or speak to you, or deposit into you through this channel. That's really what it's about, right? Building up the family. I could honestly say, hey, it's good to see you guys, even though we don't see you. Because I feel like we've been on vacation, we've been away for a while, but anyway, welcome. Hope you guys are blessed. And also, we just want to say a huge thank you to the Lord and to you guys who give to us, because we are a support-based channel. And as we always say at the beginning of our videos, if you want to give to us, there's a PayPal link below. And we just really, really appreciate, particularly last weekend, and being able to help us out through this past week and this past weekend. It just was super, super helpful.
Yes.
And so with that, take it away, Michelle.
Yes. So like we said, it's been almost a week since we've made a video, and during that time, it's really been. We talked about actually in our last video where you were saying like it seems like the Lord is just inviting us into a time of rest, where it was just like it's like you're floating in the lazy river and the lazy pool, and you're just kind of going along with the Lord. But with that rest also was a test, and also just like the Lord was really emphasizing joy and singing and worshiping before Him. And we talked about just how like that vision of being in the desert, and it was at night, and there was just like that campfire, and everybody was worshiping the Lord around that campfire, even though they were exhausted and tired. And it was through this time of worship, though, that the Lord received just so much from His people. And so really it just kind of continued for us throughout the whole week. And just that to be in that place of just rest. And I feel like I got kind of some revelation this morning, because this past whole week has been the Feast of Tabernacles, or it's also called the Feast of Ingathering. You can I was reading Numbers 20. I
didn't even realize that. Yeah,
it's the Feast of Ingathering.
Wow.
And
that is cool.
And so actually it's in Exodus chapter 23, verse 16, talks about the third feast, which is Feast of Ingathering, where it was the time to gather in all of the harvest. And I really feel like God this last week was gathering in every bit of His harvest. We had this picture,
like from our hearts, kind of thing,
because like it's from the field. Well, the field that God has been working is our hearts, just the garden of our hearts.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And so He's like, I am bringing out and gathering everything. And we had this picture this week where it was just kind of like, when you savor a meal, or you have, say you have a piece of cake or something and you eat it, and it's just so delicious, and you literally are just like trying to get every single little crumb of that cake, so you're just like, oh, this is so tasty.
You can just stick that right in the dishwasher. You don't even need to rinse that off.
Yeah.
Just stick the plate right in, and there ain't nothing on it.
Yeah, because you've gotten all of it. And there was just this feeling of where the Lord, He was doing that with us this last week, and it really has to do with our praise and our worship. I talked about how the Lord gave us the scripture from Luke chapter 7, and I think it was around verse 35 through 50, and it's this woman, she comes and she's a notorious sinner, but she comes in and she starts weeping at the feet of Jesus and washing His feet with her tears, and then she anoints His feet with the perfume. And I just believe that we've been in a time, so many of us in the body of Christ, we've gone through this time of literally being at the feet of Jesus and weeping at his feet. And it's our tears, even though it's, this journey has been long. I'm sure there's many of people, if it's been anything like our journey, there's been a lot of tears, there's been a lot of grief and a lot of sorrow, but it's been poured out at the feet of Jesus. And it's like we've washed his feet with our tears. And then as we continue to praise, that was 2017, one of the very, if not one of the first words that was just really resonated with us was worship, worship, worship. And that was at the very start. And God's like, worship, worship, worship. And it's been with us this whole time. It's like, hey, I want you worshiping me through it all. And that, I believe, is just that expensive perfume. It's a costly perfume that we've been able to just pour out on the feet of Jesus as well. And I just felt like this week, in a lot of ways, the Lord was he's just soaking up every little drop of the perfume and every little last tear that we could cry. And it was just that because it really just, it touches his heart and in such a deep way. And it's like, he's like, I'm savoring all of this because things are going to be different. It will not be the same as it's been on this journey. And that really hit my heart greatly this week, of just like, wow, we've been where the Lord has us. It's such a special and unique place. And even through all of the pain and all of that, it's like, wow, God, you are doing just so much, and you are receiving. And so this week I really felt like it was like that in gathering, that feast where the Lord is just like, I am gathering every last little bit of fruit and harvest from the fields that I've sown in, which is the fields of your heart. And I had this picture of just the Lord being at a feast this week where he was given all the fruits of his labor, and that's really kind of the picture of the week. And there was testing this week as well that went on, but I believe it's in that testing that the Lord was like saying, ooh, yes, there's all this fruit that's coming out. Yeah, let me get that last apple that's on the tree. Let me get, that last peach. Ooh, that was a good peach. I know, I'm bringing all of this out. And it was just like, wow. So this morning, that's when I really got the picture of what this last week was about. And it was just like, oh, Lord, wow. Like, you are just so amazing, because it's, really my heart in some ways was just kind of sad. It was grieved, because I was like, Lord, I pray that you did receive everything you wanted from this last week, because I didn't really, going into the week, it was difficult. There was very many days where it was just difficult. We were being attacked by the enemy, and and having to,
for like 3 days in a row.
Yeah, to really boom, just,
boom, boom, boom.
Being tested, and it was just like, oh, Lord, if I had known that this last week, maybe it would have been different. But it's like,
but then I wouldn't have got the flavor out of it that I wanted to get out of it. Right?
Yes, and so it's like, but the Lord is just like,
you would have added too much salt, and it would have tasted weird.
Yeah, it's like, or you would have been trying, and I just wanted the purity of your heart to come out. And I think a lot of times maybe that's why the Lord doesn't always show us everything, because he wants the purity of our heart to come out. He wants to refine it and not have us think, ooh, well, if I had known that, I could have done this. And the
you
Lord's
would have
like,
been so much happier.
Yeah, and the Lord's like, no, I am so happy with what I've received.
Yeah.
And so that's really been this week. And I think, like, with the testing, it was really a testing to stay in the rest. And I was reminded of, I'll have to maybe put it up in here. We'll have to look up the verse, but it just talks about, striving
to enter into the
rest. To enter into the rest.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this week was one of those times where it was just so apparent. Like, this is what, Lord, you're talking about, and just going after that rest and remaining at rest with the Lord, because even, he is always speaking, and it was like there were so many things that the Lord was just speaking over our family that were just so encouraging. But then with that, for myself, it's like the time frame starts,
Oh, geez.
starts clicking in, and it's like, oh, okay, stay in the rest. Stay
You know what?
in
That
the
thing is
place.
like a Philistine.
It is.
It really is. It's just keeps coming and bothering the Israelites.
Yeah.
Every single king. Didn't you, God, shouldn't you just ordain to get rid of the Philistines? Just get rid of them.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Why are they in every story? They're like Klingons on Star Trek. You know what I mean? The time frame, it just pops up all the time.
Yeah.
And it's just like, just leave me alone.
Yeah.
Just quit bothering me.
Yeah.
The fact that you're bothering me bothers me.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? The fact that I'm still thinking about the time frame and the how and the when and anyway.
Yeah, and so it was just one of those things that's like, okay, enter into the rest, and and just so many different levels. It was like, all right, Lord, we're just going to enter into the rest. And so that was really, I feel like the majority of the testing was just to remain at rest when the Lord is saying, be at rest.
Oh, that's interesting. See, because for me, and the testing was a totally different thing. But I noticed, I almost feel like because you have a lot of Jordan crossings. I think you also have a lot of final exams in the Spirit. Just like every harvest time, you get harvest. It just comes every year. It comes every season, right? And I just feel like I'm watching the kids, and I'm just watching them go through very similar tests and trials, and it's like, how are you going to handle this? How are you going to? You've been through this like 80 times before. How are you going to do it this time? That kind of stuff was just part of, and it was weird because it's like we felt like we were just supposed to be just resting in the Lord in the river of rest. A lot of us has prophesied that many times. I just felt like that's where we were, but in that river of rest, here comes all these tests, and I'm like, how are we supposed to be resting when we're getting the testing? And he's like, that's part of it.
Yes.
It's like, can you get hit with all the things that are like your hot button issues? And it was everybody. It was all of us, our whole family. Can you get hit with all the hot button issues and just let it go and just rest and stay focused on the Lord? But I'm feeling this. Yeah, I know you're feeling. What are you going to do with that?
Yeah.
Here's the answer. Praise. Focus on me. Give me the worship. Thanksgiving. Focus on Philippians 4:8. That's what you need to do. That's your answer. Are you going to do that? See, it was a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah.
In the midst of this time of resting. For me, personally, it was just a matter of doing stuff. It's just like, there's different slices of the pie, but for me, a lot of it had to do with like doing things. It's like, ooh, God's speaking. Ooh, let's get on it. Let's get on it. Let's get on it. Because a lot of times God, he does that. He's just, all right, cool. Yeah, let's get on it. Let's have some fun. Let's reveal some stuff. But the Lord was like, I'd be getting prophetic numbers like crazy. Stuff's popping out at me. I'm researching the scripture, and I'm like, ooh, that looks really, that vibe, that, ooh, I want to go after that. Lord's like, no. I'm like, So that's more of the test for me, was just to stay sensitive to the Lord, not my excitement to go after this thing.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's always excitement to go after the heart of God, but it's like you can pursue that and study that and do that on your own.
Yeah.
Without, and it's like, okay, it may be good to go and maybe study end time prophecy. Not that I was studying end time prophecy, but just as a random example, it can be cool to go and study that. That's great. But if the Lord's saying, no, I want you to come over here and just sit down and hang out with me, which one are you going to do?
Yeah.
If you know the Spirit of God, see, that's for me, that's always the
tester.
That's always the tester, because it's about relationship. It's not about gathering information.
No.
It's the ingathering of the fruit of the heart, and the submission and the yieldedness and the obedience and the fruits of the Spirit that come as a result of God's work in your heart.
Yeah.
It's not about going and doing something, and because a lot of times we go and we do a lot of people, they go to prayer meetings. They go to prayer meetings because they're fulfilling some sort of insecure thing in their heart that makes them feel, oh, I went to the prayer meeting, I'm good. And God's like, listen, I don't want you to go to a prayer meeting for a year. How about that? Like, whoa, that's not the Lord. I'm not hearing properly. But stuff like that, and so it's like, for me, and that's just how I've seen it. Just we've been like getting tested, and God's like, that's okay. It's almost like he's watching, and he's just going, oh, okay, yeah, all right, okay, all right. You know what I mean? He's just like a little tester. He's just watching all the little plotted areas, little plotted plants, and okay, I see what's going on there. Oh yeah, that's, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's just on the backdrop and in the context of just resting in the Lord.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like there were some chaotic moments where it's just like, that's part of the rest test. You know what I mean? So
yeah, but it was just, I don't know, it's just been a really awesome week overall.
It really
just
has.
Really
It's been amazing.
Seeing the Lord, and I think today just really getting the more of a full picture of what he was talking about, of just like, hey, this week was about me just gathering everything, just really bringing things in with like your heart and harvesting your heart, and then it was also just really cool things that the Lord was sharing with us just recently. I feel is just about like the way that he's moving as far as the fulfillment of his word to his people is just like, he's like, it's not going to be something you've seen before. It's not going to be what you think.
I have to whip out my notes for that one.
I know. I'm like, I have some notes too. And so something else that the Lord had kind of just showed us the last few nights throughout this kind of time of resting, which I just think is really amazing. And it really corresponds even with the praise and then how the Lord will move. And so we were basically we were reading last night. We went through yesterday morning we went through Psalm 114, and it was talking about like Judah became God's sanctuary, the holy place of his habitation, and Israel his dominion. And then and you know, it's just been about worship, and God is just asking for our worship. And it's like I wrote down, it's like, worship, God is asking for our worship, and out of our praise miracles will come forth, and they will be unheard of, like water coming from a rock, or the Red Sea parting. You know, these kinds of things, like nobody had ever heard of that. And then last night for our God time, we were reminded of Acts chapter 16 verses 25 and 26, where it's like Paul and Silas are in the prison. So as Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns of praise to God, and like the other prisoners were listening to him, it says, suddenly there was a great earthquake, so that the very foundations of the prison were shaken. And at once all the doors were open, and everyone's shackles were unfastened. And it was like there's this praise, and there is a suddenly moment where they were set free through a creative miracle. You know, this earthquake happens, and who had ever heard of something like that happening, where an earthquake and the shackles fall off and the doors fling open. And so it was just like, I really felt like God was saying, like, what he is going to do as we continue to praise, as we continue to just go after the Lord and pour out ourselves upon him. It's like his miraculous hand is going to come in a way that is unheard of. And I just really, last night I wrote down, it's like, when the Lord moves, we will be saying, who has heard of such a thing? You know, because I think when that comes from Isaiah 66.
Yeah, like
around
verse 8. I think
yeah.
It is.
Where it's like, they say, whoa, like, who has heard of such a thing? A nation basically being born in a day.
Yeah.
But, you know, and I've read that many times, and it always seemed like, oh, it's the onlookers that are going to be saying that. You know, it's like, wow, who's heard of that? But, you know, it's like, I really felt last night, it was like, no, we ourselves, the people that the Lord is bringing forth a miracle for, we are going to be saying, whoa, who has heard of such a thing? And I was just reminded, like, God was
Well,
just
can I say
reminding
something
me.
before you go to the list? Because then you're
Yeah.
going to list all those examples.
Yes.
Amazing examples. But it kind of reminds me of Psalm 126:1. It's like when the Lord brought back the captives.
Yeah.
And it was like we were like those who dream. It seems so unreal. And we were saying, well, because it was both.
Yeah.
The onlookers were going, wow, God has done amazing things for you. And then they're saying, yes, the Lord has done amazing things for us. We are glad.
Yeah.
You know? So it just reminded me of that. That's all.
Yeah,
So it's
no,
like
that was perfect.
So that
Yeah.
those people, because in Psalm 126, it is the people of God that are going, wow, like he has done. Who has heard of this? This is amazing.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's like
our fathers and grandfathers were wanting to see this, and they didn't see it.
Yeah.
You know?
But we have seen it.
Yeah.
And it's like that's really just the sense of what the Lord is saying. I believe is just like we're going to be saying, whoa, who has ever heard of this?
Yeah.
And even though people who are onlooking will be like, wow, like that's just unbelievable. And some of the things that the Lord brought to mind for me last night was just like, we had who has heard of such a thing, like manna from heaven, water from a rock, a nation born in a day.
And that's what that Psalm 114 is about. Kind of that water from the rock, and the parting of the Red Sea. Yeah.
And then it's like God becoming human to save humanity. Pregnancy and old age with Sarah and Elizabeth, parting the Red Sea, holding back the waters of the Jordan, Lazarus being raised from the dead after being dead for 4 days. And I mean, the list can go on and on, just there's so many.
The Bible's a book of miracles.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a book of miracles of things that people are like, wow, who has heard of such a thing?
Come on, you forgot my favorite. The floating axe head.
That's true.
Who's heard of such a things made of iron? It's just going to sink. Well, here, let me break off a twig from a tree. Throw it in there. Oh, there's your axe head right there.
Yeah.
It's floated to the top. I traded the water. There was a trade. I gave it a stick. It gave me the axe head.
Yeah. Yes.
I'm sorry. That's just too funny. Some of the stuff that God does is designed to be miraculously hilarious. Funny.
Yes.
The loaf of bread dream. Come on, that's my favorite. Don't get me started.
But I don't know. I just really felt like that's something that the Lord is speaking and saying. It's like, hey, I am going to work in just a miraculous way. I'm going to move the earth for you. I am going to just I am.
That's amazing.
It's like no matter what He has promised you, He's like, I am coming, and the way that I go about it is going to be unusual and different. And
you will not have imagined it.
Yeah, you won't.
You will not be like, oh, that kind of makes sense.
I knew that was going to happen.
No, it's not going to happen.
No,
it's just not going to happen.
Because it's like it's just really. God has us all, He has us in a place where it's like He is going to receive all the glory and the honor, and it's just like, because it's something only He could do.
Yeah, because God doesn't want like oh, wow, that was really cool kind of praise.
No.
God wants to go crazy kind of praise, like, whoa, kind of like, so we can know the woe. That's a prophetic word. But wait, that's gonna come here in a little bit.
I think that's all I had that I wanted to share.
Well, I wanted to recap the weeks, because there's been 3 sets of 7s so far that we've been going through, very distinct sets.
Yes.
Because what was it? Rosh Hashanah began.
Yep.
Right? The
it was
Hebrew
September
New Year.
29th through.
And that was our time twos week.
Yeah.
Time to this, time to that, time to this. And then came the week 2. That was the second set of 7s, the second set of 7 days. And that was where God was like, I'm packing you up, I'm loading you up. And that was just really cool. Those videos were really amazing. That week was really amazing. And then we came into this past week where it's just like, it's just a rest, a time of rest. There was a rest and a test, but it was like the praise of the Lord, that vision of us being in the wilderness. That's really kind of where we've been.
Yeah.
Just still in the dark, surrounded. I think Jesus was the campfire. He was the bonfire. So that when you come to the daytime, there He is, still in the center, and your life is surrounded by Him. So I'm just really interested, now that these 3 7s are done, I'm just like, what literally have no idea what this week's about.
Yeah.
We have no information from the Lord, no inkling, no nothing.
Yeah.
Not that we know of yet that we can report.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we're standing on the edge of a blank piece of paper. You know what I mean? It's just like we have no idea what God's going to do this upcoming week. But, you know, a lot of times that could be a cool thing because it's like that's how you surprise people. You don't let them know anything.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be super interesting to see what this week is, particularly being that this is Sunday and it's the first day of the week, and God's like, okay, let's do a video today.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay. You know? And that kind of came, I knew this was going to come. I thought it was going to actually happen yesterday, but it didn't. So it happened today, and I'm like, oh, it's only fitting that it happened today. He gave us one more day of rest, and it was really yesterday was really kind of a prophetic sign of, I believe, things that are coming, because everything's going to be changing and being different. But I just think it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of this week goes.
Yes.
Because we have no clue.
Yes.
I think before we were having clues. Our hearts were being prepared to go on. We got nothing. We got nothing for this week. If we were a store, all the shelves would be bare.
Yeah.
You know, we got nothing. We don't got a Twinkie.
Yeah.
We got nothing.
Yeah. It's like, all right, but you know, when you're empty, the Lord can fill you up.
Oh.
So it is a
We might be getting something right
now. Well, I think that's all that we have for you guys today. I know it's the way that I end videos. It just
I love it.
It just
Don't
comes out.
you dare change. I want that ending.
But
it's as precious as the coming at you. I love it now. It's a part of my heart. It's been grafted in. You know.
But we do pray that you guys were just blessed with just what the Lord has been sharing and speaking, and just that, you know, I believe, though, also, I actually received it this morning, is just that the Lord was like, He has been gathering and really, I believe, just feasting on the fruit that He has harvested from our hearts. And I just believe that the Lord is saying, like, now He is going to prepare our table. You know, it's like He eats first, which is truly just right.
Then He gets up and He serves you.
Yeah. It's like,
wow.
it's the proper way, you know. It's like God, He gets everything first. But then He's like, but now I want to serve you. And I just feel like, if anything, that's really just the direction that the Lord is going and He's moving in, is just like, now I want to bring honoring. I want to bring, prepare the table for you, to feast on the promises that I have for you.
Wow.
So,
yes.
So we can be looking forward.
Here I come. Just kidding. You know, all roads lead back to cars for me.
Apparently.
You hang out with our family for a little bit, you will know way more about cars than you ever wanted to know.
That's true.
So, and with Michelle, you'll know way more about everything else than you wanted to know. Because you like to do research on so many different things. That's all I'm saying. You're a researcher.
Yes.
That was meant to be a compliment. Take it. You want to know about Disney? Talk to her.
It's true.
You want to know about housing? Talk to her. You want to know about renovations on a home? Talk to her. You want to know about, I don't know, what do you want to know about? Girl's middle name is Wikipedia.
Just go look
even though you don't even look at Wikipedia. Your middle name is Google.
Yeah.
Michelle Google.
So we have a lot to look forward to with what the Lord is speaking and saying, and I just pray that you guys are blessed. And
me, it's just cars and Legos. That's all I can talk to you about.
Pretty much.
Expect to be bored unless you like those things, and we're gonna have some fun.
Yeah. So guys.
Of course, I'm kidding.
Until next time, we will see you later.
Bye.
Bye.